rule. How do you actually work smarter instead of harder? I know that oftentimes we hear this phrase and people don't actually tell you what it is that they're doing in order to work smarter instead of harder. Now, here's what I know, that oftentimes that we are conditioned as a society, and depending on where you are in the world, it is a huge cultural thing as well for certain places in the world where working harder is a badge of honor. It is something that is passed down through your lineage, through your bloodline, through your family history, and even through the way that work is like structured inside of the companies that you might be working within, maybe even inside of your own company, without you really thinking about that's the message that you're sending to your staff or your team members. So that's what we're talking about today, the 80-20 rule, which I think is actually called the Pareto principle. We're going to break down exactly why this is so important, and more importantly, how you can use it for your benefit so that you can get better results without having to work as hard to get more results. So if you're brand new to me, and maybe we've met for the first time, hello, my name is Susan. I'm a married mama of two, and I'm a business sales and wealth strategist. My channel is all about business, like entrepreneurship, sales, and money, because I want you to actually have financial freedom. So I do also talk about my family and faith. So sometimes my analogies are coming from that lens. So 80-20. Now, the 80-20 rule is a rule because most of the time, like 80% of the time, it's going to hold true. So there are always going to be outliers for this in any domain, meaning whatever vertical that you want to apply this to. So whether it's your health, whether it's your wealth, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your business, whether it's your family, whether it's your schedule, whether it's your clients, right? So every single thing that you evaluate, if you look at it through the lens of 80-20, it will help you to understand what exactly you can focus on and the other stuff that you can let go of. Because honestly, if you were working 8 hours a day, right? So let's use the analogy, let's just use round math. I know that I'm not encouraging you to spend this amount of time working, but if we were to use 10 hours, just because it's easier to break that down. So if you worked 10 hours, 2 of those hours are generating 80% of your results, potentially. Now, the difficult part is figuring out which of those hours are the 2. And in order for you to understand that, you need to be able to see the relationship between what it is that you do, the activities that you take, and the results that it generates. And too often, what ends up happening is that we're just going through the motions of working. And because we're up against deadlines or demands, or we don't have great boundaries, that we are simply just working hard because it's just what we do. And especially if you have a family history of this, right? Especially if you are in maybe a job or a company where that's kind of the ethos, like the culture. Make sense? Hello, Mr. Mexico Country Balls. Hello, new sub, thank you. Can I offer you a foot massage? Well, I would love a foot massage, except I don't know how you would be able to do that virtually. If you could figure out a way, I'm sure you'd have lots of buyers. So the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, what I want you to think about is what is the thing that you would want to get better results in, right? Let me know in the comments, because the more that you interact with me, the easier it is for me to give you more advice that maybe, hopefully, is helpful for you. Because there's no point in you spending your precious time talking to me, talking about something that is not relevant to you. Your time is better served going to find something that is going to actually be helpful. So if you need help on this, then please feel free to add them below in the comments, whether you're live or later on, if you're on the replay, you can feel free to do that as well. And I will come back and go through this. So, say hi, Alexa, please. Alexa, well, probably because I'm in an area where my device won't pick that up, but probably where other people are. Like if I was doing this down in my kitchen, which I have done before in my living room, then I'd probably have to whisper it because they're listening and my device would pick it up and start talking. So, but I love your name. I say it a lot. Alexa, what is it that you want to get better results in? What is it that we can apply the 80/20 rule for you? So at the end of this, we're going to do some live Q&A. So if you do have specific questions on this topic or something else that I can help you with, be sure to add them below. And I need to go pick up my kiddo, so I'm going to make sure that I have enough time to be able to answer your questions. In the event that we get a plethora of questions, then I may have to come back and or address them later, okay? So if we think about, so I'm going to use a couple of examples because I think sometimes it's helpful in order to be able to apply a principle like the 80/20 rule. You're like, great. I mean, people talk about it. I understand it. But conceptually, then what do I do when I'm actually doing this in real life? So the natural habit for most hardworking, ambitious, driven people is that you are used to working hard, right? And even when things get easier, you still want to work hard because that's what you're used to. So when that happens, then we just fill in the space that you now have access to, because as you do something, you're going to get better and better. I want you to think about the first time that you did your job, whether it's your business or in a company. The very first time that you ever did that thing, how long did it take you? I'm going to guess that it took you way longer than it does today, doing that exact same thing, right? So I'll give you something simple that's not related to my business, but hopefully it's something that maybe most of us do every day, which is to cook, to feed ourselves. So the very first time that I ever had to make a meal, make something, I needed a lot of help. I think I was a child. I helped my mom. I helped my grandma. And as a result, there were only certain things that I could do because I couldn't do all of it, right? Now, in order to have a successful meal, there are certain pieces that are required, right? You don't have to do everything in order to be able to eat, right? So if the goal was I need to eat something and I only have a very specific amount of time, then I'm not necessarily going to make a gourmet meal. If my skill set doesn't allow me to make a better meal, then I'm not going to spend that time. Instead, what I would probably do is grab some instant noodles and just boil some water. Because that's where that's where a lot of people start, right? They have to start with like, let me just microwave something. Let me just put something that's like instant because it's a little bit easier. And then as you grow in your skill set, you're going to improve what it is that you can do. So let's apply this to something else, because my friend Jacob, who we met here on YouTube a couple of days ago, and Jacob tried to pitch me. He put a pitch live here on YouTube and he threw his shot. And so I broke it down. You can go and watch that. It's one of the longer videos. I can't remember which one it is, but if you are interested, then I will find that video and I will link it down below if you put a comment asking about Jacob, okay? So the reason why I share is because Jacob threw his shot. He put out a pitch and was soliciting my business, which, hello, if you're a business owner, you got to make offers in whatever way you're comfortable with doing. Now, that might not float your boat, and that's not the point. The point is, if you know somebody has a need for your service or your product, if you don't communicate that in any way, shape, or form, then it's going to be very difficult for you to probably achieve your sales goals, your business goals, your money goals. And so for Jacob, he did the thing that was required of him in his business, based off of his skill set and based off of where he was in his business and based off of what he was comfortable doing. And so when we think about it in the context of business, if you are needing a client, then 80% of your actual activities should be focused on how do I get a client? Lead generation and sales, right? And sometimes we focus on, let me make the pretty graphics, let me update my website, let me go and spend a lot of time doing something that nobody else is going to see, creating a course, creating an ebook that nobody else has asked for, when that might not necessarily be the fastest path to cash. That is not the 20% that's going to get you 80% of your results. So what Jacob did was he focused on the 20%. I need to make an offer and I need to find somebody who wants to say yes to that offer. And so he's going to keep doing that over and over and over again. Well, what ended up happening is right live on YouTube, He made the pitch and I said, this is a great pitch, but it's not appropriate for me. I'm going to say no right now, but kudos to you because a lot of people don't ask. A lot of people don't ask, and then they wonder, why don't I have clients, Susan? What's going on? Or I don't have enough clients. Well, because you think that people are sick and tired of hearing you talk about your business, when the reality is that half of you I've never met before. And so you don't know what I do. And if I didn't talk about something that I did that could be of service to you, then I am doing you a huge disservice, especially if you need my help. So as I did this live with Jacob, I was inspired to offer him some free help. I said, I never do this. I'm not gonna give you like the moon and back, but if there is a question that I can answer for you, then I'm willing to give you my help, advice, and expertise. Only if you want it. I'm not gonna force myself on you, right? I'm not gonna force you to take any advice that you don't need, but if you want it, then reach out, send me a message. And he did. He did it almost immediately. So money loves speed and money loves action. And when we are forceful with our desires, meaning like, please don't get this wrong way. We're not forcing ourselves on any other human being. We are going after our dreams and our desires because we're committed to the vision and the outcome. Okay? So that's what Jacob did. He was like, I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to get worried. I'm not going to be afraid to like take the next step. She's offered help. Great. I'm going to take it. And so he did. Now he asked a question, and you would think that he would have asked like, how can I get more clients? He did not ask that. Now, in honor, respect of the conversation that we had, I'm not going to share that unless at some point he said, go ahead and you can share what we had discussed, because he did not ask for a tactic or even a strategy. But what he did was he asked advice, okay? And I gave him my answer. Now, he had to take that away and kind of ponder and figure out, and he did. Now, unbeknownst to me, I have tons of free content here on every single platform, including this one. And he had gone and done his homework and he had watched videos. And then yesterday he messaged me and said, Susan, I have a quick win to share. I got a client. I got a client who said yes. I closed the deal. Now, he didn't buy anything from me. He used the free content that I have. And I say this over and over again, that if you do the work and you use the content that, whether it's me or somebody else that is aligned to you, that is well served. Now, here's the difference, because he could have very easily gone down the rabbit hole and spent hundreds of hours watching hundreds of hours worth of content. But he had a very specific need and he knew exactly what he needed in order to be able to go forward. And so that's what he focused on. So he focused on the 20% of the activity that he was doing, which was, I need to pitch. Well, he eventually got to a point where he pitched and somebody said, yes, great. So that person who said yes to, I'm willing to talk to you about it. Let me see what this is all about. Then he got a conversation. And he had never had a conversation with somebody who was interested in his services. So he had to upskill, and that's where my content came in. Now, he didn't tell me all of this. He just literally said, thank you. Your videos were super helpful. Now, again, I didn't know that he was watching my videos. I'm deducing because I can see what's going on now. I was like, oh. So he was proactive, took action because he believed that he could get clients. He believed that based off of the advice that he gave him publicly, because I just did a public teardown of his pitch and like what he needed to do, what he needed to focus on. And then one additional question that helped him to anchor into, here's what I need to do and why this is so important. He then went and found, here's what I need to focus on that will get me a bigger result. So he thought smarter. He didn't have to work harder. He was already working hard. He was already showing up. He was already taking action. He was already doing the activity that is, at this point, going to help him build the skills so that he can build and grow a business. Now, here's the clincher. Jacob is 15. Jacob is 15. So he told me, although my mama heart, because like I'm a mom of two, he said, I missed school so I could do this sales call. And I was like, okay, yep. If that was my kid, I wouldn't want to know, but you're not my kid. I trust and have faith that you have good judgment to do the thing that is most important to you. Hopefully your parents know or they don't know and they're supporting you. Regardless, that is a conversation that is between you and other people, not me. Okay? But does that change your perspective around like how we get ourselves tripped up over the things that don't make the most difference, that aren't the needle movers in our life? So the other example that I will give you is, let's say you're trying to lose weight, right? We're coming on a time of the year where people like to indulge, and then they try to swing the other way and saying like, oh my gosh, like I need to get back onto the gym and exercise, and everybody's in the gym for the first 2 weeks and then it's back to normal. So if you are watching what you eat, moving your body more, because it's not rocket science, right? Like at the end of the day, as long as you don't have any major underlying conditions that would mean that it's more difficult for you to get the kinds of results if you are watching what you eat. And I'm not talking about dieting. I'm talking about like there's certain foods that are better for you than others. There are certain things that are going to trigger a chemical reaction in your body that may be different than others. So as an example, I am gluten-free because there have been stages in my life where the inflammation and the intolerance of gluten has made it so that as soon as I eat it, I will feel it. Like I look like I'm 5 months pregnant. And it's not because I've eaten a lot of food. It's because my body reacts to the chemicals that are in gluten. It has definitely gotten better over time, but it is something where I don't need to feel that way just so that I can eat gluten, as an example. Okay. So again, it's not about you putting yourself on a specific diet per se. It's about you just thinking about what is it that's going to help me to get the result. So again, we're using an example that hopefully a lot of people can relate to, which is around our health. And in order for you to lose weight, you eat better and you move more, right? Hopefully you eat less than what your body needs in order to support its current weight. And then you are doing some sort of movement, strength training, ideally both, in order to be able to offset so that you are improving your overall health and well-being, your vitality, your strength, right? But at the end of the day, if you're doing both of those things and you have an underlying health condition, well, that's not going to work. If you have a mindset issue, and I know that sounds a little woo-woo, but if every day you're punishing yourself because you don't weigh a certain amount, it's going to be really difficult for you to lose weight in a healthy manner. Could you do it in a dysfunctional way? Sure, you could. Eating disorders and all of that. But if you wanted to maintain the weight loss, the health associated with whatever it is that you think that that weight loss will get for you, then you will not necessarily be healthy, the healthiest version of yourself, while you may have achieved that goal. So we want to be able to focus on the 20% that actually gets you the results, right? And if we pare this down, so back in corporate, I could see very easily, and I want you to do this exercise for yourself in whichever area that you're looking for better results. What is the 20% that gets you 80% of your results? Okay? Because I guarantee that if you look at everything through this lens, that if you were working 10-hour days and you actually could only work 2, like you could pull that down to 2, wouldn't you do it? And yet so many of us, now you may not be able to do that if you're working in a job, right? Like a corporate job where you have to clock in and you have to clock out. But I want you to think for yourself, if you were able to figure out how more efficient and effective you could be in your current job so that you could actually do the thing that you love to do, wouldn't you do it? Instead of you having to work like 80% of the time to do what you do, what if you could actually focus on the 20% of the things, which hopefully will take you less time because you're producing that with more focus, more intention, more productivity. And instead of thinking about how to, spend more time and time management hacks and a new app or using AI, and those are all well and good. But if you don't know what is the criteria, what are the actions, what are the activities that generate the results that you want to repeat, then you're going to keep doing the same old, which means you're going to take the same amount of time to deliver those results, AKA working harder and harder. And so the smart thing to do, even though on paper it is more cumbersome, it is more challenging, and it feels like you're slowing down, is to actually stop, assess, look at all these activities, and essentially give it a score. If I do this, what's the result? And if those activities don't meet your minimum benchmark, then you should get rid of it if you can. Again, if you are in some kind of job or capacity where you can't offload those, like they can't be put to bed, then you have to mitigate the risk. You have to put them so that they take the least amount of time possible. Automation, delegation, elimination, okay? But if you can't eliminate, then you absolutely should look at, can I automate this in some way? Can I delegate this in some way? And that's why companies use things like SOPs, standard operating procedures. You can have them for everything. That's why routines, even though they're boring, that's why they work, because then you don't use that brain space in order to create the thing over and over again. You just follow the instructions. I know it's boring. That's the point, right? The more boring the systems inside your business can be, the better off you are, because then your true time, energy, mind, your brilliance can be spent now focusing on the things that require more creativity, that require more imagination, that require more vision, as an example. Make sense? Hello, Russell. I don't know if you're still on here. I'm in Canada. Where are you? Sretan Simic. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I don't know if you're still on here. The only advice has got to... Okay, I'm going to see if I can try and read this. Serbia is very cheap and a good place. All Balkan countries, good food and half care. Britain, Japan, Italy, good food, half care, and beautiful. Okay, I think healthcare? Healthcare, okay. Amazing, thank you for sharing, right? Because I live here in Canada and I haven't done a ton of international travel, especially to the countries that you have listed here. So that's great to know. Serbia, Balkan countries, good food and healthcare, Britain, Japan, Italy, good food and healthcare, and they're beautiful, which is amazing, right? So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So if you have any questions, please feel free to add them below. And if there aren't any questions, then we will be done for today. If you want to join the vision workshop that I had talked about yesterday, please feel free to send me a message over on Instagram and just say I'm in vision, or you can put a comment below and I will send you the link. It's $33. I've never done this for $33. I will never do it again for $33. It will be sold for $97 afterwards, and you are getting a bonus $97 workshop, which is my strategic business planning workshop with the workbook. And it is what has helped me to sell hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate, now in my business. And it is the stuff that Fortune 500 companies use when they are planning out quarterly, weekly, monthly. So you're going to get that for free, essentially, because you're only paying $33. And right now, if you were to go on my website and buy just that workshop, it's $97. It's 97 bucks. Okay, Gigi. Hello, Gigi. Hi. Yes, send it to me. Okay. Do you want me to email it, Gigi? I know who Gigi is, and that's why I can say that. Because some of you might be going like, how would you know that? That's like magical. It's not. It is relationship. Yashraj. Hello, you're from India. Welcome, welcome. We have actually quite a few viewers that come from India and America. So welcome. I'm here in Canada. I'm really happy to meet you, to know you. So Yashraj, we are just about to end. I had talked about the 80-20 rule. So if that is of interest to you, please go back and watch this. YouTube, if you're on here live, it does take a little bit to render. And so just be aware of that. Make sure that you are subscribed. If you are liking this video, I really appreciate it. And if there is something that I can help you, if there is a specific topic that might be helpful for you, then please feel free to send me a message over on Instagram is probably best, or you can comment directly on a video and ask your questions, put in your comments, suggest other topics, because it helps me to help you, because that's why I'm doing these. So every day I'm going live here on YouTube. We're going to see how this works during the holiday season, because I will be in different locations for a chunk of it. Yes, Yashar, the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. And so the action step that I had given everybody, if you were on here earlier, is whatever area of your life or business, career, wealth, health, relationships, pick one area, okay? Don't do this for everything because it's going to be too overwhelming, at least initially. Pick one area where you want to get better results. And I want you to assess for yourself, what is the actual action or activity that is getting me results? Because I guarantee if you were to assess like 100 things that you're doing, there's probably only 20 that are really impacting the bottom line for that result, right? So if you're spending 10 hours a day working, imagine instead of working 10 hours, you actually only need to work 2 hours, because those 2 hours are filled with the impactful stuff that is giving you the results. And then if you're in a job, you can do whatever you want for 8 hours. No, don't tell your boss I said that, okay? I don't want them to come at me. But this is why when you see people and you're like, how in the world do people get side hustles going? Or how in the world can they do multiple businesses? It's not because they are doing them all at the same time necessarily. It's because their time is being allocated using the 80-20 rule. They're looking at, where do I get the biggest bang for my buck? Where am I getting the best results? And I'm only focusing on those things, and I ruthlessly cut out the rest. And yeah, it's ruthless because your system, your brain, your whole human self is going to go, yeah, but we've always done that. Yeah, and you've always gotten the results that you got before. So if you want different results today, which are a higher level, a different version of the dream, the desire, and the goals that you want, and you honestly believe that you don't want to work harder, you want to work smarter, but you're not sure how to do that, then we have to put this to work, which means that you stop working for a little bit, or you at least give yourself a pause to reflect on what is it that I've done. And sometimes it means that you need to track. Because if you're not keeping track of what I do and what's the result or the outcome, and I'm not talking just about quantitative, I'm also talking about qualitative. How do I feel when I'm doing this? Do I enjoy doing this? Does it give me more peace of mind? Does it make me feel anxious? Does this cause me stress? Does this make me yell at my partner? Does this make me a worse parent because I start to get so frustrated that I'm not able to spend more time with my kids? Like, think about those things too. It's not just always about, does it give me more money? Does it give me more time? Does it help me to create more clients? Like, those are well and good, but we don't want to do it at the sacrifice of who you are, right? Like how you want to live your life, because that is more important, because at some point, the rest of this stuff is all going to disappear. And the quality of your life is really going to be determined by the caliber of the moments that you cultivate and you create and that you are spending. And only you can be the judge of that, right? Nobody else gets to dictate or should dictate what kind of life you get to live. You get to choose that. And I'm encouraging you to choose wisely the 20% that gets you the best results. And if you want in on this vision workshop, if you're not sure exactly what it's about, go and watch the last video, because I talked about calling all visionaries and gave you some suggestions as to like what it feels like when you are a visionary who's lost vision and you feel a little bit stuck. What are the consequences of that? But it's $33. We're going to do it live on Monday, and it will be for sale afterwards for $97. So if you're thinking about doing it later, feel free, but you're going to pay $97. And for right now, I am also giving you access to the Strategic Business Planning Workshop, which is sold right now for $97 just on its own, including the workbook. So you will get access to both. We're doing this live, but you don't have to be live. You will get access to the replay as well. Okay? So I'm still finalizing the time, just so we're clear, because I have to figure out a window of opportunity that's going to work best for the majority of people. So if that's you, send me a message. And if you know there's a window of time on Monday, because I'm about to finalize in the next few hours here, that would work the best, then please let me know that, okay? So, Gigi, if you're still on here, I just have to go pick up my kiddo. So I will send you an email within the next couple of hours, just so that you know. Okay. Yashraj says, please tell me that many people show our income by Shopify store, like print on demand or drop shipping on social media. That many people show. I'm not sure I quite understand. Are you talking about like, I know that people are showing this. And if they're comfortable showing this, then great. And if you're not comfortable, then that's okay. You don't have to, right? You do your own business how you want to do it. People can fake stuff. I will say that. So regardless of whether or not people are showing proof, if you feel like they have given you a result, like Jacob got a result in advance without me having him buy anything from me. And so what's the likelihood that he might want to keep watching my videos or buy something as he's able to? Because he's just at the beginning stages of his business, probably high. So what I would suggest is that you take the time, because something that is for you will always be for you. You don't have to rush. But if you are finding that somebody's pressuring you into buying something, or they're making you feel guilty because you feel less than, I personally, because I've done it, like I've been on the receiving end of that and felt triggered to buy, the outcomes usually aren't very good, right? And then you are focusing on the things that are like making you feel better. You're trying to escape something within yourself. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily you, but I'm just saying from my own personal experience. So what I would suggest is that if you are, no, I am very comfortable with that, but how much time that it takes to do which part? To create a Shopify store, print on demand? I mean, if you're good with design, you could get it set up like that. The piece that takes the hardest amount of time is the idea. And then for your first sale. Yashraj, I don't know what your background is, but what are you willing to do? Like Jacob, I don't know how long Jacob had been sending out pitches, right? But sometimes you have to do the uncomfortable things, and you have to be willing to do it for a long period of time. I think sometimes we all want like instant success. And the point of today is not necessarily to tell you like it can be easy and you don't have to do any work. You still have to do work. The hard part has probably been behind you, but if you're trying to do something brand new, you still have to be willing to do the hard work, which is still ahead of you. And so if you go into something thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get my first sale and it's going to be easy peasy, like I'm just going to get them like that, you can pray for that, you can intend for that, but you have to work as if it's going to take you forever to do it, because otherwise you're going to give up. And that's part of why having a vision that is bigger than just making money or your first sale is so important, because you have to be able to get up out of bed every day. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror every day, and despite it not looking like it's working initially, be able to go, you know what? I believe in myself. I believe in what I've created. I know that this is something that people want. I know that this is something that I am feeling passionate about and that I'm aligned to and I feel called to. And so I'm going to keep going no matter what. That means that even when people say, stop talking about this, that you're going to keep, like somebody could say, Susan, you already talked about your vision workshop. Why are you talking about it again? Because I'm showing you by example, and I want you to do the thing that I'm doing so that you can see that, is it easy or comfortable for me? Well, kind of, but kind of not. I mean, I'm a human being. I still feel rejection. I still feel uncomfortable. But the point is that I'm doing this because somebody on here might need it. Now, if I hadn't even said it, Gigi would never have said, hey, that's me. Can you please send that to me? So Yashraj, I want you, if you've created that first, whatever it is that you've put on your dropshipping store, how many times have you talked about it? If you're not talking to people about it from the time you wake up until the time you sleep, and I'm not talking about like just buy my thing, but I kind of am, because sometimes we think everybody's heard about it. Well, the reality is that every single algorithm on the face of this planet for all the social media platforms, only a tiny percentage, a tiny little sliver of people are ever going to see it. And if not enough people see what it is that you're talking about, they will never buy it. So your goal is to make sure that as many of the people that you want to buy, that they have an opportunity. What I want to challenge you with is, could they say, I know Yashraj's store? Would they know? And if the answer is no, then you haven't talked about it enough. And most of us, myself included, we just are not talking about our businesses enough to give people an opportunity to even know so they can buy, right? So it's not a situation of build it and they will come. It's a situation of build it because they desire it. And then you have to tell the people who desire it that you're there. Hey, it's me. I'm here. Buy my thing. Okay, no, not right now. Great. Okay, find the next person. Hey, it's me. I'm here. Buy my thing. Okay, no, right? Until you get some traction, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like you're not doing it right. And as long as you believe in your product, as long as you believe that what it is that you have is something that people desire and they've told you that, like you've seen proof or evidence or your own market research, then keep going. Don't allow what looks like failure to stop you. Make sense? Okay, I gotta go. I really do gotta go because I have to be somewhere and I was supposed to have left 10 minutes ago. So any more questions, please feel free to add them below and I will for sure pick them up tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.